deep breath. Who's breathing into the mic here? Everybody good to go? Doing your best Jason impersonation here early on.
Hear it. That might have been me. That was me.
All right, I think we should start it there. Welcome in to Real Friends,
Hello.
episode 3. I'm your host, T-Bob Hebert. We switch it up yet again. To my right, Nathan Velasquez. To my left, Rivers Hughey. You're right. Welcome into episode 3, everybody. How are y'all doing today?
Feeling very spooky.
I'm doing very good. Oh yeah, kind of excited about talking about all these killers.
Got to give a shout out to our man Nathan, to Rivers, for this incredible set work. We got Joe Rodriguez behind the glass, of course. Well, I always forget there's no actual glass in this studio, but he's the man on all the controls, making sure that the video portion of this episode runs perfectly. And I'm very excited for today's episode. It is Halloween week, y'all. Are you feeling the Halloween spirit? We've been at it for a month now. We've watched a lot of scary movies. How are you feeling?
I'm getting pumped up. The weather is kind of catching up with that feel.
It's the weather.
Oh, no, it has a huge part to do with it. Like
nice and chilly. It's like 50 to 60 degrees.
Yeah, it's bringing all the holidays in, and I love that it starts with Halloween.
T-Bob got really excited. If you're watching, you can see that he wore his Guardians of the Galaxy costume today.
I did. This is my Chris Pratt jacket. It makes me look very cool, and I wear it anytime it gets below 80 degrees.
Anytime you have to tell people that you look very cool.
Hey,
usually
look, there's a level of self-awareness to this that I absolutely understand.
That's probably
I love this jacket. I think it looks like a protagonist jacket from an action movie, and that's why I like it. Are y'all excited before we get into the movies? Because we got the 3 80s pillars to talk about this weekend. Are y'all excited for Stranger Things?
Yes. Oh, I guess by the time this goes out, I will probably already have finished.
Yes.
I'm excited about that. Oh, I'm so excited.
So this is the week of Thanksgiving, of Halloween. And on tonight's episode, we have what we call the kind of core 80s trinity, the holy trilogy of horror movies. And interestingly enough, one of these movies actually was not made in the 80s, but 2 were. And I think that we all learned a lot about these movies, and maybe we didn't know beforehand. Of course, I'm talking about Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street. We're going to do it as we do every episode. We're going to go in chronological order, and that means that we start with Halloween.
Yes.
Nathan, give us a background.
So this was in 1978, and I would say it's the one that wasn't made in the 80s, but it's the one that feels the most like the 80s, I would say. Especially that music. At least I thought so.
Yeah. Nightmare on Elm Street had some pretty 80s style music.
We'll talk about that.
That is
Absolutely.
true.
I agree. But the music in Halloween is
I was trying to
its
remember.
calling
Was
card.
it?
No.
That's the closest.
Yeah, it's just constant. Do not let the credits roll in your house. It gets very annoying very quickly.
So, directed by John Carpenter, who did The Thing, Escape from L.A. and New York. This is the smallest budget of a movie. It was $300,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is
So Halloween was less than Friday the 13th.
by about $200,000.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that is shocking. It had higher feeling.
It did.
Production values than Friday the 13th.
But I mean, they pretty much just had one neighborhood. That was all they had to really work in. And so Michael Myers, young boy, ends up killing his sister and his sister's boyfriend. Years later, he escapes from an insane asylum prison type of deal and makes his way back home. And he decides he is going to kill the girls who are pretty much just as, I guess,
if there is
sleeping around like his.
If there is one odd underlying theme to all of these movies, so these killers are real hung up on teen sex.
Yeah,
So
they don't like
up.
it.
A lot of major sexual
Although, is that
underlying
really
issues.
even the motivation for the killing? I felt like there really wasn't
No,
any
not
motivation.
I think that maybe Nightmare on Elm Street had more, but I did think that this one kind of felt like Michael Myers. I mean, he was insane. He was an insane man, and he saw, little boy like himself with someone taking care of him, and that was pretty much the closest you got to an association.
Do you think
thing.
that's what originally? Okay, so let's dive. It seems like we're diving right in. Do you think that's what originally triggered Michael Myers to go after Jamie Lee Curtis and her family? Because I've been trying to figure that out the entire movie, and I don't really understand.
Other than like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, I don't know that there was any
Why was
motivation.
he so singularly focused? When did they first see each other?
It was whenever they went up to the house and the little boy was saying to Jamie Lee Curtis, "Don't go up there. That place is haunted. They say it's terrible." And then he looks out of the door and sees them, and he sees Jamie Lee Curtis with the boy.
Maybe she looks like his sister.
I thought he kind of just associated, like, I remember, like, that was what made him snap 20
we don't
years
know
ago.
like what kind of crazy he is.
Yeah, it
Like
just
maybe
seems...
he even thinks it's his sister. I mean, I don't know.
According to the doctor, you're right. He is a complete enigma, right?
Right.
He kills his sister. It's an incredibly dark beginning to the story.
Yeah.
He murders his sister.
I really liked... This was my favorite opening.
Like in the
of them.
tiny little clown mask.
Yeah.
That is creepy.
And I think it sets the tone for the rest of the film, and especially when you hear the doctor talk about from that day on, he didn't speak. I thought a very powerful passage from the doctor, kind of explaining Michael Myers and his evil, was talking about those eyes, those kind of dead shark eyes, those predatory eyes. I think he calls them like demonic eyes.
Yeah, he said that he tried to help the boy for 8 years, and then he spent another 7 making sure that he never got out because he realized there was no helping him.
He was pure evil.
Yeah.
And then he got out kind of easily. A bit of a misplay for them to let him escape in the way that they did.
I liked how the woman that was driving him up to the insane asylum was kind of like, they just let them wander around, and it's in the rain and everything like they're cows or something.
I think that that pure evil was something that was really hard for me. And I think just personally, I'm always looking for like a redeeming quality in someone, or like even in scary movies. I mean, usually the bad guy, there's something.
No, exactly, and a lot of times that's
you want to be able to root for them, and you just like there's no reason to root for Michael.
Oh, no, I don't think there was a reason to root for him at all. I just kind of liked how there was kind of a supernatural air of like I almost felt like there was really something evil inside of him, something beyond him just being insane. Because I mean, like he gets stabbed, he gets pushed off of balconies, he gets shot, and it's just like he just keeps going. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. Michael always keeps coming back.
And maybe that's why, maybe that is what makes him so scary, is that his complete lack of motivation is what makes him so inhuman. Because we're like, the whole movie, I find myself trying to gain some perspective. Like you said, put myself in his shoes. Like, why is he doing this? Was there abuse in the household? Didn't seem like there was anything like that. And it appears like, as far as everything that this movie wants us to believe, that this is a child who, for whatever reason, was just born with a purely black heart. I feel like destiny, the idea of fate, that was one of the themes of this movie, that inevitable fate. Like you said, no matter what you do, Michael Myers continues to come back. And I feel like they set the tone for that in the original classroom scene when Jamie Lee Curtis is starting to nod off, or she's in class and the teacher, it's kind of heavy-handed. They're talking about destiny and fate and what does it mean. And it's very appropriate to what ends up happening in this story, where, look, Jamie Lee Curtis didn't really do anything to deserve any of this. I guess she was just fated to go through this experience for whatever reason. Did y'all think it was that scary?
There were moments.
I thought it was.
I think that this there's all the scenes, any scene where Michael is walking towards someone.
He was just a creepy guy.
They are full out sprinting, and he's just walking, and he always catches them. And he's going to, and that is terrifying to me because I am not a quick runner. And I feel like I would die so quick.
It freaks me out how much of a blank slate he is, and also just how determined. Like the first time they see him behind the shrubs, and he's just kind of standing there, and that chase where he's chasing Jamie Lee Curtis into the closet, and
he had a little bit of a trouble with the closet door, considering we had seen him punch through like a full wooden door just a couple of minutes before. He's sitting there rattling the lock.
Come on!
No, I don't know,
but when
man.
He punches through it. That freaks me out.
He does have a kind of wild, like animal-like energy when he breaks through somebody. He's kind of scrabbling around, trying to grab her, trying to kill her. For whatever reason, maybe it's desensitization, whatever. You get what I'm saying. Maybe we're desensitized, right? But this movie came out in 1978. You can see how it influenced the horror genre, right? You see bits of it,
I feel
and
like
it
all
follows.
the rules of your typical horror movies are found
that Scream
here.
explains. Like we grew up on Scream.
I was thinking, but this movie is the one in Scream.
Like
they lay out the rules.
Movies, like
this
slasher
is
movies,
the
like
movie
we
they're
know it to
referring
be.
Yeah. Like anytime you have sex, you're gonna die.
And so, while I really appreciate this movie, I think for what it did, I do think it holds up well. I'm very impressed to hear that it was actually the least expensive movie of this bunch. It didn't really. It never really scared me. At
Also,
all,
maybe
to be
this
honest.
is like that movie
Screw
that started the
you,
thing.
T-Bone.
I'm sorry. It's not even that. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that it's a bad movie. It just a lot of it was Michael Myers kind of creeping. And then disappearing like Batman.
Or-
like the camera's on him, it pans over for 1 second, then it's back and he's gone. It's the literal Batman
Have
disappearing.
you seen the remakes? Like the remake for like the Rob
There was
Zombie
one
remakes?
in like 2000 or
I didn't see, what was it, H2O when we were younger.
I
in
saw- that
98
was the one
came
that
out.
was like
I did not
2000s.
see that one. There
Why
was
would they even call it H2O? Like I just think it's water.
that's so
Halloween
funny that you
20
say
years
that.
from now.
Like for like
Yeah, I know that's like that's
Joe
just what it
with
means,
the
but-
info.
No, I mean that makes sense. I get it, but I'm with Nate. I was thinking about it earlier today, trying to figure out what marketing guru came up with that as a good idea. Because I immediately,
Just think
But
of
then I
water.
started thinking, like,
it had
what if
Josh
they had-
Hartnett in it? Oof.
oh, I didn't know that. They should have
Dolly
done
Parton's in
like an underwater Halloween theme. That's what I would have done with the H2O
Not Dolly
title.
Parton. Josh Hartnett.
Yeah, I remember Josh
But he
Hartnett. Did you
said-
say Dolly
he
Parton?
said
I thought you said.
Parton.
I just heard Parton, and I thought you
Josh
said Dolly
Hartnett
Parton.
had a hot minute there where
He was a 90s superstar.
Oh, he was the hottest guy in all of Hollywood. There was what was it 30 Days and Nights? Was that around
Oh.
his peak? That movie where
That
he
movie,
could
That was
not.
yeah,
creepy.
where you could not do the thing.
Yeah, couldn't do the thing
He was in
for
the
30 Days and
faculty.
Nights.
He was in a bunch of stuff.
He was look. Josh Hartnett had his day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh wait, but so Halloween. I don't know necessarily if this is like a rule of horror movies, but I feel like maybe this was one of the first, maybe not, movies where you kill the murderer and you turn your back on the murderer and he is not dead.
No, he
Yeah,
is not dead at all, and it's something that we'll see pop up again later in the show.
And I think we should at the end do like our scariest movies and then also our favorite killers because I think that might be two separate lists for me. as
Okay.
far
I
as-
agree. I think you're correct in that. Anything else?
Well, we do have next year. There is going to be a remake, not a remake, but a follow-up to the Halloween series. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be in it. It's going to have much bigger talent attached to it as far as writing and directing goes. So next year, Halloween movie to look out for.
all right. What was I going to say about? Oh, I think Jamie Lee Curtis did a great job.
Ultimate
yeah, she
Scream
did.
Queen.
Yeah,
She's the lady.
She's awesome. Did y'all think, is this like a deal where, I wonder if I was my age in 1978, I'd feel this way. Did they all look a little old to be in high school?
They
Y'all?
did,
Or is
yeah.
that just the style? Is that because they're just
But I
wearing
feel like
what
no
our
matter what you're
parents'
watching
style was?
and someone's in high school, they never look. I mean, I think about myself in high school and I'm always like, I didn't look like that.
Yeah, okay,
Maybe
that's
so.
that's true. I didn't look like Jamie Lee Curtis in high school either. A couple more things that I thought about this movie. I thought that the doctor's plan to catch Michael Myers was terrible. I feel like
Yeah.
you could have had some police presence maybe going through the neighborhood without causing a general panic. Not him just like
He only
looking around the
really-
bush like, oh,
He
Michael,
only
where
really
you at?
existed for plot points.
Yes.
Like to guide
yeah.
the story
I thought he
along.
did a good
That's a really
job
good
of
point.
being the
He,
exposition
like, didn't
guy.
really
I thought he did a good
have
job
a-
with that,
a
of
reason to be
explaining how evil he is, where he's going. I loved whenever when you eventually see the headstone on the bed, like how much time he must have taken to actually put that headstone there. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it like I said, I don't understand any of Michael's
no
motivations, but that is
He's
that
crazy.
is- yes,
He's crazy.
He is pure evil. That's what makes him.
Oh, you know what I did like about this
scary.
movie, and maybe it made it scarier for me, is the murder scenes. They weren't super gory. All of that was really more implied than
Yeah.
anything.
And
That
I
made
wonder-
it scarier for me.
Okay, I wonder how much of that was artistic choice and how much of that is just a realistic outcome of the budget, not having the money
Right.
for the
Perhaps.
special effects.
Probably
Maybe
No, I
not.
don't know.
Yeah, but either way, look.
Do y'all know who the face is modeled after? The
I
mask?
actually do know the story. Let me
Who
see if
is
I'm
it?
right. I have not Googled it.
Yeah.
If I from memory, they needed a mask. They went and got a William Shatner mask from Star Trek, and then they got rid of the skin coloring on it.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
this
William
is-
Shatner. This is William Shatner in
What?
Star Trek.
Yeah.
How pissed would you be if you were William Shatner?
Yeah, I'd be-
He goes into it. What is this? What am I seeing?
Oh man, okay. You know what? I don't even know how to segue out of that. So I think Nathan's excellent William Shatner impression will be it for our Halloween discussion for now.
Okay, so yeah, why don't we
Okay,
just-
final thoughts. Any final thoughts before we move on?
Let's
Next
just say
movie?
Michael Myers, the killer, has killed 94 people over 12 movies.
That's right. I forgot. So Nathan did a body count over the characters that we're going to discuss, the killers, and
Wait, so he
how
killed
many
how
movies they
many?
have.
94 people over
Okay.
12 movies.
What's a lot of movies?
It is
It
a
is
lot of
oh no,
movies.
there's some weird titles in there like Season of the Witch, Return of Michael, The Curse of Michael, H2O.
Season of the Witch.
I didn't realize there were 12 Halloween
There's
movies.
some weird twists and turns. At one point, it turns out that like this is all he's haunted, and he comes back and he finds his niece. It's a weird. I mean, obviously,
Does he
it's
kill her?
purely-
I know,
no,
don't tell
he
me.
like
I'll watch.
he helps her. or
That is
something.
one thing about all the 3 franchises that we're discussing tonight is that they have become franchises. For whatever reason, these movies tapped into something in the American psyche that made them
And they
their
all came
impact
out
go far
around
beyond
each other too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Then
interesting.
about a
They all
5-year
started,
span.
and then they've all gone on.
So Halloween was
go on?
1978. Next up on the list was 1980's Friday the 13th. Nathan, give us a little background on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, so this one slightly larger budget of $550,000. Directed by Sean S. Cunningham, who really didn't do anything other than Friday the 13th. The story is that he took out a full-page ad in Variety and put a poster of Friday the 13th, no script, nothing like that, and then called around, see if people would buy the title, and he would pretend that he had a script. So then a studio bought it, and he got a script together. And so that's the story of how it came about. But pretty much, I guess it
Kinda
must have
makes
been
sense.
new at this time. Group of kids, they're going out to Crystal Lake. They don't know that bad things have happened at Crystal Lake. And they're there having a good time, just, fun and sex and getting drunk. And then, one by one, they start dying.
Yeah.
Who is the killer? What is going on? It's not Freddy.
What the hell is
It's not
happening in
this
this
guy.
movie?
Yeah, so we thought, so Nate,
Not Freddy. Jason. I keep doing that.
yeah, it's easy. Well, the Freddy versus Jason thing,
Yeah.
it's like it's an easy association to make.
I
Now-
cannot believe that the budget for this movie was more.
Yeah, it was
I know,
more than
What?
Halloween. I agree.
Where did that money go?
It felt-
Did they light
There
it
were a
on
couple
fire?
good special effect shots.
There
The
were a
arrow
few.
going through Kevin Bacon's neck, I specifically have in my notes.
To have a story about.
Yeah,
I
that's-
watched this movie when I was, I don't know, I was really young, and I was babysitting my little cousin, and he'd gone to sleep, and I found this box of VHS tapes in my aunt and uncle's house, and I was like, that one, I'm going to watch this because I wouldn't be allowed to watch this if anyone else was around. And so I terrified myself. But that scene where Kevin Bacon is laying on his bed and the knife comes up through
Yeah.
His
his neck, that to this day, when I'm sleeping in a bed and I'm by myself, I will always check underneath
Whoa.
because I'm always like, someone's going to, that would be
You think that old lady's just
Wow.
waiting to knife you in
just
the
waiting
neck?
to knife me in the neck.
In that beautiful sweater.
Now you're going to think about it.
I don't know that I
I don't
will.
think I will.
I don't know that I will either, actually. That said, okay, let's start at the beginning with this movie, though. Your explanation of how this movie came to be makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Because
I thought so when I read that on a trivia part of the movie. It fit perfectly.
the script or the actual plot for this movie, I would not say
Left a little
is
to be
its,
desired.
is its strongest suit. I don't know how well this movie ages. I don't think it's very bad. I don't think it's very good, though. I think it's interesting in a way. It's definitely a different time in filmmaking. I feel like
I think that now looking back on it is probably. I think we talked a little bit about how it feels like an older version of the Saw movies. I think people might look back at the Saw movies in 40 years the way that we're looking back at Friday the 13th now. It has kind of an old novelty feel about it. I mean, it looks like it's got the grainy film look, which you see people do as an artistic thing nowadays. So it feels like it's got an edge that I don't know if it had when it first came out.
I do agree. So you mentioned the artistic kind of grainy look. I did like the aesthetic. The aesthetic to me was, like we said, it was very kind of ragtag, but also it gave a very voyeuristic type of feel.
Right.
Like you are like the killer. And they set you up purposely in a lot of POV shots in the beginning of the movie. But some of the other scenes are so mundane. You're just watching these kids run around and just do whatever they do. And I kind of had this feeling like I was the killer just sitting there in the woods looking through the window. And I don't know if that was intentional, but for me personally, that seemed to work in adding just a bit of interest to it. And what is otherwise, like we said, a relatively thin plot, right?
It's
They
pretty
gotta get the-
standard. Kids at a camp. Nothing good happens at a camp unless it's like Wet Hot American Summer. People are always
I love
dying.
Wet Hot American
People
Summer.
are always going to die if you're at a camp unless it's Wet Hot
I
American
do
Summer.
love the immediate camp dynamic that they established with the lake. I was never a camp kid myself,
Me either.
but I
No.
knew many, and I was always insanely jealous of the stories that they would come back from camp from, like hooking up on speedboats, making out behind boat
Where were
sheds.
your friends going
Those
to
boy-girl
summer
camps.
This
Those
could
boy-girl
be
camps.
a
I'm telling
movie.
you.
This could be a
Speedboats.
movie made by people that never got to go to camp. They're like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
You deserve to die over there.
That's
instead of
true. There
having
was
good
like a
time.
certain part of me that was my jealousy was finally sated.
Yeah, they all sucked. I thought all the kids sucked. I didn't really care about
They
any
all
of them.
suck. Okay, I have a question. So the guy who's reopening the camp.
Come on, they all suck. They
I
were
don't
okay
remember-
kids,
I don't-
y'all.
I mean, no, they were
I don't
fun.
mind them. I don't
no,
mind
I
them.
didn't think they were. No, I
didn't
didn't
feel
think they
that
were
strongly
bad.
about
I
them.
didn't think they were bad people. I didn't feel strongly about them in any way at all. That's the
Well,
thing.
okay.
Yeah, okay, that's you. You know, I'm not going
I
to say
didn't-
that this
I didn't
movie
hate them.
emotionally
I didn't
invests
hate
you.
them.
So the guy who came back to open the camp, I don't remember his name. His family
Cross.
owned the camp, whatever.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
Pierce.
So you really
I mean,
only
that's my job. I should be.
experience him like 3 times in the movie. One, he's inappropriately hitting on one of the campers.
Yeah.
And then he leaves. He's like, I'll be back right after lunch. But then you don't see him again until nighttime. Has he just been hanging out at that diner all day, flirting with the waitress, the old lady waitress?
Yeah, that was a weird.
Why
scene.
did you leave
All
your
of the
campers?
townspeople were weird. That was definitely
Why did you leave
purposeful,
your
right?
campers for that long? They don't know anybody. They just got there.
But counterpoint, they are the counselors. They're not the campers, so it's not little kids.
I don't mean necessarily because they
still
need to be
liable.
watched. They need to be watched or supervised. More just like they just got here today.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
that is
just
true. So like, where's like the welcome? Like,
Maybe,
okay,
like, help 'em
here's
out.
the plan. The camp crews come tomorrow. No, this guy was like, I'm gonna go eat pie and talk to people in town for 5
and
hours.
I knew things were gonna go like a little south when one girl just got murdered in broad daylight.
Which one?
The one that was gonna be the cook.
Oh, the first girl.
Yeah,
Yeah, but they
you don't
weren't
see
in
a lot of that in movies.
They,
Like,
they
where
were
people are
they
just
were in
like,
a remote place though.
I mean, yeah, they were. There's so much that I didn't. I just went with it because there was just it didn't feel like it was establishing much credibility. So it was just kind of.
But
like
you knew the person that was the killer was gonna look pleasant because of that scene.
Yeah, because
she
they're
got
always
in a
like,
car
"Whoa,
with
it's
him.
you."
I didn't
Yeah.
even consider
They
that.
also tried to set the guy that bought the camp up because he drove a Jeep and
Yeah.
the girl got in a Jeep.
That's what we were talking about. I was so confused. They were the same Jeep. Were they not? Like
I don't know.
where the
I'm pretty
camp
sure. I thought
owner
they were
and
the
her
same
looked
Jeep.
like they drove the same Jeep. But when at the end of the movie, when the main character in the movie, I don't even know the girl's name.
Yeah.
God, that's so
Janet or-
terrible. I think it probably speaks to the lack of characterization, like Nate said. But when she goes to try to escape in the car, the cook's dead body is still in there. So it has to be 2 different Jeeps somewhere along the line because that guy didn't take it into town. So
Right.
I once again, maybe
Well,
lack of budget. I'm not
And
entirely
so,
sure.
like,
what
to
was there.
dive into this, and you didn't tell the listeners, but this will be spoiler heavy. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
about
yeah,
to spoil
obviously.
this
We're talking
movie
about all
for
the
you.
movies.
Jason is not actually in this movie.
Right. He's not.
He's
the bad
not in
guy.
this movie.
This is not.
You don't see
Jason
the
holding
mask.
a knife.
It's his mom who is like avenging his, his not murder.
He's the kid who
died.
drowned. We hear at the very beginning that a
Right.
kid drowns in 58 at Camp Crystal Lake.
Because some kids are having sex.
Yes. Well, we don't know that at the beginning, but then we know that 2 years later, 2 counselors end up dying. Come to find out, Jason's mom, when she's finally revealed as a killer, she tells us that, so she really does hate teen sex. Maybe
Hates
the
it.
others on this list have other motivations. She absolutely hates it. She feels that teens hooking up is directly responsible for the death of her son. And, well, she's on that long-term revenge plan.
So she's a little crazy. She's talking to herself in Jason's voice. Do the town people, do the town peoples not know that she's still alive?
I mean, it seems like she also has a big part to do with running the camp. Just because the guy who was opening the camp recognized her and was kind of like, "Oh, it's you," and then she stabs him, and then it's like, "Oh." So,
she's been playing that long con.
so it looks like this is a long. She has spent years drawing campers and camp counselors to this camp so that she can murder them.
Right.
Because
Also,
to
that-
avenge her son.
All the townspeople, I don't know if this was to give it kind of like a Boonies type of vibe or something, but all the townspeople were very creepy.
They really
Yeah.
were. Then
He
there was the
couldn't-
crazy guy. They kind of wanted you for a second to think that the crazy guy who rides his bike
What
was the
you
killer.
knew,
You knew
like,
it wasn't
come
him.
on, dude. They're making it way too obvious.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie didn't do it for me. But again, I went in it thinking that I was going to see Jason, and you catch a glimpse of him in like a dream scene at the end where he like,
Well, it's not a dream though. Remember,
is it not?
I didn't think
because
that was a dream.
she wakes up in the hospital and she says, like, "Where's the boy who drowned me?" Well, I guess actually at that point it might still be ambiguous, only because we know about Jason and where all of these movies went do we know that there actually was a little boy in the lake. And to me, that's the most interesting part about this movie is not the movie itself. It's what the movie spawned. And us kind of throughout the week talking about it and figuring out what the actual story behind Friday the 13th is. Like this mask, this iconic Jason mask right here.
Our decoration.
Yeah, our decoration. This movie doesn't show up in Friday the 13th 1. It doesn't show up in Friday the 13th 2. Apparently this mask does not show up till the 3rd Friday the 13th movie. And like talking to people on Twitter, nobody seems to really love these movies.
Well,
no, I
and people don't
think
realize
there's much
it either.
I don't think there's much like artistic, not even artistic, just basic movie principles in the movie. As far as just like soft core porn type thing of just these guy and girl in a bed, they're getting it going on,
it's
and then
mostly
arrow
them just
through
living
the
their
throat.
lives.
Yeah.
There's only like 20 actual minutes of killing. Everything else is just teens running around.
I think we do have the clip of it of the girl. She's like up against, she's trying to block a door. Do y'all remember whenever one of the last, I think it's the last girl,
and
she goes and she's like trying to tie the rope around the door, and then
which
she
I
goes to
actually thought
put a
was
chair.
smart.
And
I
then
thought the rope
that
thing was smart. I would have never thought to do the rope thing. Where did that rope come from? I am absolutely mesmerized.
I
So-
by
thought it
this
was
scene.
lingering a long time on her trying to put chair after chair after chair, and then she goes back like 5 minutes later, tries to take all the chairs off.
I was like,
to
as
get
soon
out
as
of
she
the
does
door.
all this, the killer's definitely going to
Yeah.
be in the room.
Yeah.
Here it is. If you're watching that ropes, I mean, like she really knows how to tie a knot.
Yeah, so that
Well, she is a camper. Yeah,
Camp counselor.
that's part of the camp counselor skill set, obviously.
if the mom could have seen that, she might have
Okay,
decided.
but let's talk then
That wasn't a great
about
knot.
let's talk then about the confrontations between our lone survivor and the mother, because I don't know what happened to Mama Bear along the line, but she was a ruthless, efficient, and successful killing machine up until the final victim. Like she didn't have a problem with anybody else, male, female, aware, unaware, it did not matter. She did not miss. Then she matches up with this girl in close combat, not once, not twice, not 3
Close
times,
combat.
but 4 different times. They get together, separate, get together again. And it finally ends with the girl chopping the mother's head off. I was shocked by how ineffective she became. And also, what's the deal with the girl just hitting her on the head and then running away and not finishing the job? It's infuriating.
Got to kill her.
Yeah, maybe she didn't want to kill her. Like, it'd be nasty to kill a human. Maybe she just wanted to get.
I get it.
I was
I get it.
amazed
Normally
that-
I can empathize. But when you get to number 3,
Yeah, that's.
it's getting a little extreme. And look, she learned her lesson by 4 because she took a machete. And that's one
Just
of the
took her
funniest.
head off.
One pretty. Not. She was not trying all that hard. Like that. It looked like she did that very easily.
What, the machete?
Like the machete kind of just hit the mom.
Oh, it was
and then
hilarious.
her
It's
head
Is
one
that
of
how
the-
machetes
fell off.
work? Like,
And then the mom's
No,
like,
I'm not going to sit here and claim that I know
They don't
how
work
easy
like
or
that.
hard it would be to chop off someone's head with a machete. But that swing that she put on film is not chopping off someone's head anytime, absolutely. And even though unintentionally, I think that scene's incredible because it's this weird, oddly angled, ineffective hit, and the head just topples off, and then you see the mom's hands while it's squirting blood in slow motion do
that
this
was-
sort of thing, and then finally fall over dead. However, Jason is not dead, and I guess from then on, Jason went on to
Which just is weird that the
Kill more
mom
campers.
the mom is killing people over years to avenge her son's death. In the end, it turns out her son is not dead, and then in the rest of the movies, he will then live on to avenge his mother's
do we
death.
eventually
So they
find
should have
out
just-
in one of the other
It's a vicious cycle.
movies
vicious cycle.
where he's been?
in the lake.
I'm not sure.
I'm not convinced about that. I think
no,
that's
He
a
looked
dream sequence.
He looked pretty diseased. And isn't Jason also immortal like Michael Myers is basically?
I mean, yes. It's of course it turns out he's the devil in some way. Like in the first movie, he's a boy, but it turns out like there's one of the Jason movies is in space.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it's Jason X.
Jason X.
I was just so surprised that he did not exist in this movie. In fact, we were talking, Nathan and I were talking about it earlier with someone, and we were like, oh gosh, Jason wasn't in the movie. And the guy was
Yeah.
like, yeah, he is. So people like automatically associate this movie with Jason.
Well, I guess
which is so
technically he is, but he's
strange.
not the killer.
Right. But but they associate
Yes.
the mask
Yes.
and Jason with this movie, and he is just
But-
nowhere to be found.
And
We did.
If we're thinking of how this happened, it cost $500,000 to make it. Whenever it came out, it made it made $39 million. So of course there's going to be another one, and then there's going to be another one, and eventually they put the mask in, and
They put him
eventually
in
you have 10 of
space.
them.
It's fine.
It's like you said, and it's funny you mentioned Saw earlier, Nathan. Talking to people on Twitter, That was a common response.
Yeah.
People from that generation saying that it was kind of like our Saw. And Saw was the same way. Saw, the first one, was made for relatively cheap.
that was under what this budget is.
Is that like what got Lionsgate going? I don't know. I don't know the story behind Lionsgate.
Sure.
I don't know any of that. Anyway, that's where I kind of remember them coming onto the map. I used to love all of those Saw movies.
We have 11 movies with, I guess 10 movies with Jason. And Jason kills 146 people.
Cool.
Whoa.
Yes. So
Jeez,
he gets the
It's
more.
not pulling any punches. Wait, so the mom kills were not added into that.
Right.
Okay.
This is just Jason. So it's really 10 movies, not 11, where Jason racks up almost like 50 more people than Michael Myers.
50, yeah, and in less movies. Do you think Jason killed anyone in this movie?
No, I don't think
No,
that
the
he exists in
girl
this movie. I think in the end.
So you think like in this text, because we should examine this movie without all the later Jason knowledge. You're saying within this singular movie.
It ends, she's in that boat
Yeah.
and she wakes up, it's very peaceful. She sees the police officers driving up. And then, Jason or whoever, something pulls her into the water and she wakes up in the hospital. I think she was having a dream. Or I think she was a little bit crazy. I mean, someone tried to kill her, whatever.
She had a bad night.
It was traumatic.
She had a bad night.
I think I don't think that was real. I think that she was scaring herself. But then obviously we know that.
Didn't the cop say that like they pulled her out of the water, kind of like she was wet?
Well, but to River's point, she could have I think
Tipped
you're saying
over
like
or
she
something.
passed out.
She passed out. She freaked herself
Yeah.
out. Whatever. She ended up in the water on her own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's a good point. There is no concrete proof that Jason
maybe they
Because
just
actually is still alive.
it made Jason look like not alive.
Well, I mean, obviously, if he did exist in the movie, he wouldn't be alive because he's been living
and he
underwater
looked like a little
for
boy. He wouldn't still
40
be. He wouldn't
years.
still be a little boy.
That's why I don't think it makes sense that he must have still have been alive this whole time.
Wait, you think he was still alive?
I think he
but
was
not
still alive.
the person that pulled her in.
I mean, I think that was Jason.
But he was a little. That was like a little.
Well, this has been like.
See, I think
it's been like 20
I
years.
think I landed
That's what I
between
mean.
y'all.
So don't you think it would be an adult person who pulled her into the water?
I thought that was that not an adult person?
Oh, I thought it was a little person.
I thought it was a
he
man.
was a slight build. He was a bit slender.
I
would
thought
say.
he looked like he would be like
I
20
guess
years
I-
old.
she
His skin was like
25.
mottled and rotting off.
I mean,
don't
it
know.
looked
It's gonna
like
be
he had
hard
been
to
living
age
in the
it.
water
Yes.
for 20 years.
So to me,
it didn't make sense.
It's funny because I think I land in the middle of you two. I don't think he's alive. I do think he exists in the movie.
Right.
I think he's some underwater zombie creature
Something
who
like
is
that.
like, it's a creature of revenge, going to get back on all those horny teens for wanting to bang in the woods. How dare they?
Those Scooby Doo
Damn it.
kids.
These teens were some. They were trying to
horny.
do it.
Young
They were trying to have that.
Oh, yeah.
The strip
Old
Monopoly.
boy almost had
and,
his
like-
threesome going on to that Monopoly
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Then she shut it down out of nowhere.
And
She's
then
like,
she
oh, I gotta
left.
go shut my windows.
She didn't
I'm
put
like,
her
oh,
clothes back
no.
on.
She did not put her clothes back on.
And it was raining.
That's a common theme in these
Also,
movies.
another common theme, I haven't seen it as much, maybe it was an 80s thing, but women wearing white men's dress shirts.
Yeah,
with no
they were all
pants.
over
They
these
all do
three
that.
movies.
They all did that multiple times.
Yeah.
I loved when old girl's running from the mom character. She had a jacket on, and you could tell the director's like, no, it's too much, because it gets caught on like a microwave handle. It's like,
He's like,
get it off of me! It, of course, just leaves the jacket behind. Unbelievable.
what was that? Did y'all see? I forget which one of the scary
On a
movies it is,
microwave.
wherever the girl is like running through the woods. I think it's the first scary movie where they're making fun of Scream, and she's like running through
yeah.
the yard, and like her
Yeah, it's
shirt
Carmen
gets
Electra.
cut
I
in
remember.
The sprinkler. It's like,
I remember very
it's
well.
so funny.
It was it's a great
Whatever.
scene. That's a great movie. Final moment on this movie that I would bring up is that the scene where the Joker of the group, the prankster guy,
Yeah.
shoots the bow like right in front of the girl.
Yeah,
That stresses me out more than anything.
Fast and loose with that one.
My
Yeah,
God,
that
man.
was-
Come on.
I would have been furious.
It's terrible.
Oh, that would have been
She
like,
was
just pack it
laughing.
up. The camp is,
No.
it's over. We're not staying around with each other
Hooligans.
anymore. We're not
I
friends.
had a similar experience at the Renaissance Festival last year, where we were at the throwing axe stand, and
Everything that you
one of
coming
our
out
friends,
of your mouth
one of our
right
friends
now.
was supposed to go, and the lady's like gathering up axes, and he was turned around, and one of my other buddies, was like, "Hey, it's your turn, go!" So he just turned around and chunked that thing down range.
Gosh.
And sure enough, she was like right underneath it, turned into a big ordeal. She was saying that her like uncles and brothers are gonna come beat us up, all this stuff. We had to kind of pay her off. But yeah, it was don't you have
That
to
story
take,
took a turn.
You have
You
to
had to pay
take
her off.
You have to take gun range, archery range, and axe range safety very seriously. Should be the main takeaway there. All right, so Friday 13th.
That's
Watch
not your
it.
main
I would
takeaway.
say if you're gonna watch it, then watch it for the young Kevin Bacon because
Yeah.
that's the most
Ooh,
joy I got out of it.
There was a lot of. So we're moving into Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Talk about a
We're
young
gonna
actor.
do Depp. We're gonna do Depp versus Bacon.
Oh,
we're gonna get some Depp versus
the
Bacon
midriff,
going.
They both had the midriff thing going on.
That's my
and I
favorite
was
crop top I've ever seen of any
into
gender.
both of it.
Believe it.
Yeah,
or not.
that was.
It's like
Depp's-
making my eye twitch a little bit just like thinking about it.
Okay, so let's just dive right into this question because I was gonna save this for the end, but Johnny Depp in a crop top or Kevin Bacon in his
Johnny
Speedo?
Depp in a crop top. I would say that I'd make it my screensaver.
Wait, what was the question again?
Okay, so Bacon's banana hammock, Kevin Bacon's Speedo, or Johnny Depp's crop top.
Ooh, Johnny Depp's crop top all day long.
And his hair.
Great hair.
I enjoyed his
Everything
hair
about
so
Johnny
much. It
Depp
even had
in that movie.
dip in the middle.
Look,
Sometimes
looks like Team Real Friends. We're 3 for 3. I'm also on Team Johnny Depp crop top.
Well,
I've
then
never
let's
like been a huge Kevin Bacon fan.
I haven't either,
anyways.
and he lost me with one of the worst dives into the water that I've ever seen.
Oh my god, I'm so glad you brought that up.
His
Belly
technique
flop.
was horrendous.
I
dude.
thought that was a good allegory for how horny they all were. He was trying to play it cool through everything. Like he was probably thinking like, I don't know how to swim, but I'm gonna go for it. And you
I'm
see
so
them.
glad that you brought that dive up. I immediately, like, as soon as it happened, I said out loud, like, "What? He didn't make it out of that."
I had to rewind and film it just to tweet it. Which
I
is
was like,
always
they
fun.
had a big enough budget that they probably could have shot that again. It was just a jump.
You could say, okay, so if I want to play devil's advocate for the filmmaker here, it's a level of realism because he was
I guess
stressed
so.
out in the moment, adrenaline pumping, and he couldn't pull off a sweet dive. That's it. It looked
It was
looked pretty unathletic.
If you have not
You're like-
seen it, please just Google it.
It's
and
like that was
watch
his
it.
first dive.
all right. So that was Friday 13th.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street now.
I'm glad that I saw it, but like,
I could have done without that
Yeah,
movie.
it is.
We
Yeah,
were halfway
I-
through the week. Nathan
is
and
what
I
it
were
is.
like, "Can we switch the movie?" But we already told you listeners to watch it. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Finally, Nate,
Yeah.
take it away.
Nightmare on Elm Street, 1984. This one had a budget of $1.8 million, so
Yeah.
much higher production value. And I think you see it within the first one. Made by Wes Craven, who did Last House on the Left, Scream, Hills
House on
Have
the
Eyes.
Left is
So he pretty much laid the I guess the foundation for most of horror from like the 70s to the 90s. And it follows this badass piece of shit, Freddy Krueger, who goes around, and I think he is the coolest.
look at
And-
this poster.
This poster's incredible. There's so much to break down here in terms of 80s
I mean,
goodness.
you open on him creating the iconic glove that he wears, and he goes throughout the dreams. We later find out it's the dreams of the children of the parents who killed him, and so they're trying to figure out, can we stop him before he kills us, because we are not able to sleep and the kids start going crazy.
Man, do I love campy 80s electronica music.
Yeah.
Wow, that scene, that first dream scene where she's running and the music is playing and there's like a fog machine that's like spazzing out and there's like way too much fog.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
No, I agree. There was the beginning of this movie had an excellent
We are in the 80s.
Yes,
just to be clear.
Yeah.
100%.
They wanted you to
Oh,
know
yeah.
that.
This movie, more than anything, Nathan, you said at the beginning that you thought that what movie we talking about for? Oh, that Halloween had the most 80s feel. To me, Nightmare on Elm Street was as 80s as it got. In fact, I'd never seen this movie before, and
Me
we
neither.
mentioned Stranger
Had you
Things.
seen it before?
I had never
so
seen
we
it
all
either.
came to this fresh.
Oh, okay,
Fresh
nice.
eyes.
So we mentioned Stranger Things at the beginning of this program, right? And
Big Stranger
to
Things.
me, this seems like it influenced. Like Stranger Things resembles more Nightmare on Elm Street than I think anything else that it was compared to last year. You know, people talk about E.T., they talk about Goonies, all these other kind of 80s Spielberg movies that it was trying to evoke. I think it was almost, it was just very, I feel like I now understand a lot more of where the Duffer Brothers got some of the inspiration for their show. But let's talk about the movie itself, Nightmare on Elm Street. I really enjoyed it. I thought that Freddy is terrifying because he's like pure sadism. It's all fun to him. There's no real threat to him, at least not that we can really understand. I mean, how about the scene where he's like, first off, she goes outside in her underwear in the dark,
Yep.
which is the ultimate, like, what are you doing? Turn
But it's a
around. Why
dream.
would you
It's
do
a
that?
dream.
That is true. But
a
then
dream.
he's like, hey, check it out. and he just chops his fingers off.
And
He
the
starts
green
squirting
stuff
blood
comes
everywhere.
out. Well, it's
Yes.
green. It's like weird.
I
Yeah.
love when he cut himself like on the chest. That was so creepy.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why he's crazy, because it is all
But
fun
he
to
just
him.
wants to show them, I think, that they can't hurt him.
Oh yeah,
Well,
it's just scary. It's just
he,
terrifying.
I don't know if it's like a rule that before he kills someone, they have to be like reach like a certain fear level.
I
But
think
that's
that's it.
almost like the dynamic that he seems to be playing up. And then they had the cool special effects, like the face being ripped off. That's right after he
I
cuts his
thought this was
fingers
an
off.
awesome use of special effects. Like it played perfectly in the story. Like whenever he starts coming through the wall, I
Yeah.
thought that was.
Was that that was a computer?
No, that was just
'Cause it
like,
couldn't have been.
That was just plastic. Not plastic, or they used. It was a type of rubber.
Like a rubber.
Yeah, and it was what they used for most of it. For most of the movie, his face, it was the same type of material. It was like one of the first movies to use. I forgot what it's called.
Well, so in this movie, I think more so than the other two, there actually is like an adult presence. So in Halloween and in Friday the
Great point.
13th, there's like no parents. There's no adults. I mean, they're there, but not really.
No, not really. Yeah, not really
There,
at all.
I think that made this movie scarier. That like there are adults there, and they don't believe that the kid. They don't believe the kids. The kids are making it up. So they're there. These adults are there to protect the children, to protect their kids, and they're like doing a very poor job.
Well, I mean, it even goes so far as they're at the sleep doctor, and they see
talking
her
another
go to
doctor
bed
scene.
they see her go to bed with nothing, and then see her wake up with scratches on her arm
And a
with a
hat.
hat that she had no idea, and it's still everybody's like,
And
you're
gray
full of it.
hair.
Yeah, and then they're just like,
There's
oh
gruesome
man,
gray
Yeah.
hair.
Well, she wasn't sleeping; she was very stressed out.
I think the thing that freaked me out about this, it at least had a hand up on the others, is that this killer had a tool that he could use that you really could not escape from. Whereas we can joke about how, like, come on, couldn't you have run faster from? You okay there?
Yeah, I got stuck on the spider
You
web.
get killed by spider webs.
This is all part of our master plan.
No,
but-
but continue your
yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
I'm right in line with you.
No, because I mean, this is something that pretty much the rules of this game are: if you fall asleep, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Which is something that's pretty inescapable. Whereas the other movies, I mean, we know they
Like,
could have been
eventually you're gonna
smarter. They
fall
could have
asleep.
paid attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I mean, you have to, right? I mean, you literally, it's like proven you go insane and or die around like what 8-9 days
your
without
body
sleep,
will just
something
make
along
you
those
fall
lines.
asleep. You're just gonna fall asleep at
So-
some point.
Which is
Then-
why this is terrifying, because he's completely inescapable. And
I
then,
like
and then
the
you play
scene
with that
where-
idea of like what's real and what's not, and when's a Freddy scene starting, and what's it's.
I like that this movie had a lot of rules, and you could feel like they spent a lot of time working on this, everything, the character, what the character is allowed to do. Just, I guess we brought it up in one show before, like they built this complex world where they have this monster that can go in and out of dreams.
I liked how much coffee everyone drank. And I
Me
like
too.
especially the scene where her mom like takes the coffee pot that she's got in her room out. She's like, get some sleep. She's like, all right, mom. And she like pretends to go to sleep. And then she pops up, opens up a drawer, just pulls out a new coffee
Oh,
pot. Like,
dude.
where did that come from? And
love
why
it.
does it already have coffee in it?
It's in my notes right here. The hidden coffee machine in the room is great. She ends up using that too to smash him in the face.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
she? So
Yeah.
it ends up working out a bit.
I liked the alcoholic mom.
I should say this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the girl's parents real quick. Then they were very orange. Was that like a California thing? Were they in California?
Oh, you mean like they were
Oh, they
actually
were.
Like they were
orange.
orange, like bad tans.
Like Mr. President. Or
Did this stand? Yes. Did this stand out to anybody else? It's
I did
just
not
me.
notice
Okay.
that.
Okay,
No,
that's fine.
Maybe
We
it was
can
your
move on.
TV.
yeah,
No,
you might have the
no.
hue
No,
set
no,
too
no,
high on
no.
your TV.
Go rewatch it. They were incredibly orange, a very dark shade.
So aside from the shade of
Yeah, my bad. Okay, now what I
They're
do want to
orange.
talk about is Nancy, the main character,
Mm-hmm.
because I think she's awesome. I know that in the end, as
She's
we'll
a go-getter.
discuss, she doesn't necessarily win, but she is an ass kicker. She like straight up isn't going to take it anymore.
she's gonna figure it out and
Yes.
she's gonna make it happen.
Yeah, she says that, and she says it multiple times. She's like, "I'm a survivor." And one of my favorite scenes is when, and it's kind of unintentionally funny, is when the mom's like telling her to get sleep. She takes the alcohol bottle, smashes it, screw sleep, and then she goes on to fight Freddy. And unfortunately, it looks like she pulls it off, but in the end, Nancy was
So her mom
she was
tells
in the
us
Freddy convertible.
that Freddy, we figure out who Freddy is Freddy is this guy who was killing children, and then the parents in the neighborhood got together and they burned his house down.
Yeah.
And so the mom knows who Freddy is. So I think it's a little strange that her daughter is like, hey, this guy Freddy's trying to get me. And her mom's like, no, you're wrong. When she kind of knows that, I don't know.
Well, but that's why she knows. Thinks that she's wrong because she killed her.
Do you think that the dad does the dad know? Was the dad part of the parents that killed Freddy?
You could tell his reaction when she mentions Freddy Krueger. He's like, he gets even more stern faced.
Okay.
That, I guess, is that dad's major expression throughout the entire movie.
And how does Nancy not know about Freddy? Like, do you think she wasn't born yet, or she was like real little?
Oh no, I think this happened way before. I mean, I don't think Freddy was on her mind ever before this happened.
Still, I mean, imagine growing up in a town wherever, like I grew up in Starkville. Even if I'd been really little and there'd been like a little kid killer, and even if I didn't know that my parents burned his house down, I would still know that he existed, and I would know his name. There would be
they
lore,
said he killed 20
I
kids.
think
there'd be lore.
He would be pretty famous if he had killed 20 kids.
You can't hide that.
I guess not. Even
without the internet.
You know what? I think this movie is so scary and fun that I don't think that even bothers me.
No,
I'm fine to give it that one.
It didn't bother me. It was more something that is just curious.
No, yeah, that's a good point. I know that even in our smallest city, we would have the kid killer would be famous.
I guess you have to buy into the idea almost that it's some sort of town-wide conspiracy because everybody was in on it and everybody's like, hey, we killed this dude. Nobody talk about it ever
I
again.
did kind of like the
erase all the newspaper records.
I like this. It felt kind of like, the sins of the parents are passed down to the kids, and like now he's getting revenge. So I
but hold on though. I don't want to this is the crazy part about Freddy is that he's getting revenge, but I don't feel bad that he was burned alive in the first place.
Me either.
Oh no.
But I do understand his motivation.
There's nothing redeeming about him. We talked about this earlier.
No, he's probably happy that they burned him alive because now he's got these cool powers.
At least Jason has a reason. Like he died because some people were having sex and not paying attention to him. Michael and Freddy.
Michael is born pure evil, and Freddy is pure sadism.
You were killing kids.
And he's funny too.
He is.
He reminded me
of... He cuts his fingers off, man. What the hell? For no reason.
He reminded me of Pennywise the Clown. Like, he's scary, but he's got a playful side to him. No, I mean, not a, it's playful to the viewer.
Well, that's where you get to the sadism thing. So, he enjoys the torture aspect of it. Like, even Michael Myers, being the blank slate that he is, Michael seems to be mainly about, I guess, the end product, right?
Yeah.
He went to go. I guess he likes stalking his prey.
Oh, and I mean, I think it's clear he lets some people live just so that they'll sleep again and he'll torture them again. So
where did Freddy come from? I mean, why is he here now? Did we find that out?
I think it's because he's trying to kill the.
But where was he in the interim?
Where was he before?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I don't know where.
Maybe probably roaming the seventh circle of hell, trying to figure out how to use his dream powers.
It's explained later. There's 8 other movies, so I know there's somewhere in there where it's explained.
But in terms of this movie and this movie alone,
I don't think it said.
I don't think it said anything. I guess I take it as him just learning his way around the afterlife.
Okay, so then in the end, let's talk about that last scene.
Yeah.
Where she kills him. And she wakes up, she walks out of her door, and everything is as it was. All her friends are alive again. It's sunny. Her mom's happy. She's done drinking, apparently. And we're moving on with our lives.
Immediate red flag.
Yeah. We're moving on with our lives. And then Freddy takes over the car and takes the mom. Does that really happen?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Freddy wins.
Did they die, too, the kids in the car?
I think they're already dead. I think she is in a dream.
Yeah, I think it's just that this isn't over. Like, he's going to keep messing with her. He's not
wait,
dead.
she's definitely not dead because she's in the movies after.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Nancy. Wait, Nancy's in the next movie?
She's in a lot of them.
What?
Yeah. There's a whole thing.
Oh.
So she's still alive.
Well, I would have taken this original movie like she died.
Where's that car go?
Maybe she wakes up like a minute later.
Oh, okay.
So that was one of the parts that I loved about this movie, but it is a bit tough to discern. It's like I said.
What's real?
Yes, what's real and what's not. What are some of the rules between when stuff comes over into the real world? Like, how can the dad and everybody else see what happened to Johnny Depp in terms of the blood? Oh, which, by the way, I should mention the special effects.
The kills are so
They're so
cool.
good. They're so cool,
so
dude.
cool.
The first one with the girl where she gets slashed open. She's thrown against the ceiling and she's bouncing all around. It's terrifying. and then Johnny Depp with the blood. And what they did at both those, Nate, I was asking you earlier, obviously it was just a room with everything nailed down, upside down, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you have the blood poured in. It just gives this really cool kind of anti-gravity effect. The very otherworldly feel that
The upside
Can
down.
we imagine in a world where...
That's exactly.
Can we imagine a world where things like this happen, right?
Booby trapping the house?
That first scene...
Yeah, the Home Alone stuff.
Well, that first scene where you are... Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Where that first scene, the kill scene, where, the guy is watching her be thrown around the room and, like, cut open and whatever.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were that guy.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do? I mean, I know that he was right.
Not what he did.
What else could he do? I mean, are you
He
gonna...
sat in the corner. Like, let's be clear.
Oh,
Well,
wait.
If the woman is scaling the walls, what am I...
Time out. I
Grab
was
me and
referring...
at least, like, put me down.
No, I was referring to him running away. I was thinking, like, legally, like, what's the correct play there? You should probably turn yourself into the cops. Could you actually turn yourself into the cops? You're calling him a coward.
Yeah.
For not dealing...
He was, like, crying in the corner.
With the
At least,
invisible
like,
slasher that just
I
cut
would
open his
say-
girlfriend and has him bleed. Are you an insane person?
On the side, maybe
What
it's
if
like...
it was Kevin?
broken
What would
up.
you have done?
Maybe
What
it's
would you
a-
have done?
We would be broken up.
Oh, my God.
If it's a
if
guy
Kevin
thing,
was getting
the
slashed
guy
up.
would not
I would try to,
have-
like, bring him
no
down.
guy would... Unless maybe there's that... I don't think they had the bond that you would need for... I would have cowered in the corner.
Yeah.
I would have
Like
run out of the
Also,
room.
actually,
Oh, yeah.
hold on. No. I got to come to my guy's defense
A
here.
woman starts scaling the walls out of her own free will. And then...
Maybe try to, like, pat the blood back in, or I don't know.
But here's the deal: is that he tried, and her body literally is used as a club and hits him into the corner of the
she
room.
She swings around in the air.
He's like diving at the bed, and it's like, and takes him out. But
All right, agree to disagree.
I think
but if
you're
I'm ever,
being-
like, flying around the room, guys, I'm going to need you to just bring me on
Jeez.
down. Just bring me on
Just
down.
remember that
There's no
no one
chance.
will help you.
I'm running out of the room. If you're bleeding everywhere and floating in the top corner of the
We'll never
studio,
really come to this situation.
All right,
me
so-
and
We're
Nathan
all
are gone.
cool.
I don't
So
know.
obviously
work-
we've been lying to you guys. We aren't real friends.
Oh yeah, I guess they just kind of got exposed.
So let's talk about these
bit
booby
there.
traps for just a sec.
Yes.
I loved them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
the
really all I have to
sledgehammer
say
was,
about them.
was really cool.
They were she did a whole lot in a very little
I will
amount
say
of time.
one thing that took me out of it a little bit was that she hung up on the phone with her dad and was like, 20 minutes. You're coming to get me in 20 minutes. He's like, okay, all right, I'll be over there in 20 minutes. She hangs up the phone, and then she sets the booby traps.
She, like, solders things and,
Yeah.
like, does all sorts of
She puts
stuff.
gunpowder in a light bulb,
her
screws
mom's
it
just
in.
drunk?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she's like, all right, I've got a few more minutes now. I can go to sleep. After she's done all of the complex booby traps.
Also, there's something hilarious about Freddy, who's obviously got otherworldly powers. He's cut off his own fingers. He's cut open his own chest to
But
reveal.
maybe not in the real world. He
He's revealed
doesn't.
maggots oozing inside. I guess.
Yeah, I don't
that's true.
think he can in the real world.
But so was he in the real world during the booby traps?
Yeah, that was the real world. She brought him,
Wake
like she
up,
did her hat.
T-Bob.
Like she did his hat. She brought him back into the real
Oh,
world.
that's right, because then he jumped up from behind the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So
Him
I have a
getting hit in the
question.
chest
If they
with a
hadn't
sledgehammer
killed
was
him,
hilarious, though.
if
It's like,
he
whoa.
had killed everybody in that house and whatever, does he stay in the real world?
I don't
I
think
don't
so.
know that you can
I don't
put
think so.
tethers on Freddy from what we saw, because in the
Freddy
real
does what
world,
Freddy
wait, hold
wants.
on. So that was in the real world, but he also got lit on fire and burned for like 5 minutes straight.
But he's
in the
already
real world.
kinda burned,
So he
so-
still has some sort of supernatural powers in the real world. Like, I don't know that I buy that he can be killed in the real world, because if he could, he should not have been able to survive what she
All
did
that.
to him.
Well, I think if he was burned alive once and then he got sent to this other world, burning him again is probably not going to do him in. He's probably just going to go right back to where he was.
I don't. I took this movie, and that's interesting that Nancy's in the other movies. To me, I thought this movie was really powerful, and it worked because Freddy won in the end, and he seemed immortal. And it seems like even though Nancy did all this great stuff, she became a badass. She took the initiative. She still got killed in the end. Which,
Oh yeah,
I
he
guess
still
very
won.
interested-
He still won. He's the
which
winner.
is like sucks to this guy who killed 20 kids and then came back and killed more. Ends up winning, but it's a horror movie, and
Yeah.
I think it works because of that.
Of all three of these movies that have been turned into these series of movies, this is the only one that I was like, oh, you know what? I'd actually like to watch the rest of those.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, okay, so that kind of segues perfectly into our rankings. And we do this every week. We rank these movies after.
I'm
go.
sorry. Freddy killed 35 people
Oh, good call.
Only?
Good call.
out of about 8 movies. One,
He
two,
only
three,
killed
four, five,
35
six,
people?
But that's why I like Freddy.
Oh yeah, he's more
maybe Freddy's a
calculated.
good guy.
He's not going around with the
No, get the
with this
hell outta here.
meat cleaver just killing a bunch of horny teens. Like he's got some more purpose.
Well, they were horny teens, but he's not.
They were more
exclusive to horny
controlled.
teens.
Also, Johnny
That's
Depp
true.
People in
had
the
respect.
80s were very horny.
What else was I going to say about Freddy? Equality over quantity for his kills. They're fun, right? You gotta
Yeah.
play with your food a bit first, I suppose. I had something else to say. If it comes to me, I'll jump back in. All right, let's get into ranking these. So we do this every week. Generally, we write down our rankings before the show, see if they change during the conversation. Mine did not. This was probably the easiest rankings of the month.
Yep.
There was a clear winner. You could tell by the conversation. There was a clear loser. You could tell by the conversation, the kind of middle ground. We'll go left to right. Rivers, do you want to start?
Number 3, Friday the 13th. Number 2, Halloween. Number 1, Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right. No surprise here. Number 3, Friday the 13th. Number 2, Halloween. Number 1, easily by a mile. I think it's the only movie that is still really good. I thoroughly enjoyed. Actually, still pretty scary. That is Nightmare on Elm Street.
I go number 3 is Friday the 13th. Number 2, Nightmare on Elm Street. And number 1, Halloween. I still think talking.
Number 1, Halloween?
I think talking about it, Halloween has.
I wasn't even paying attention. I was like thinking
You just
about,
knew
okay,
that he had
what are we
already-
doing? What are we doing next on the show?
Oh no,
wow.
Nightmare on Elm Street is still taking the top. I after watching the two of them, I had a lot of fun watching Nightmare on Elm Street, and there are holes in Halloween, but I find that movie disturbing. Still.
Really?
It's still really it made me feel a little bit. It made me feel more scared than Nightmare on Elm Street did.
Wait, so your number 1 is Halloween?
Yeah. Yeah.
I could kind of buy it.
You're like,
I could
yes.
kind of buy it. I could buy
that
it.
was just
Yeah.
what freaked. I mean,
Yeah.
looking back on it, how like if I were to that one, I watched both of them at night. I at night was a little bit more scared of what happened in Halloween.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you this. Halloween was scarier for me, but just I liked Nightmare on Elm Street
and
better.
that was why I wanted to rank the actual villains, because I would put, as far as just a character goes, I would put Freddy above
Myers.
yes.
You know what? There's
Where's
something.
Jason's mom fall on that list?
Yeah.
I would say I think we watched.
Is there something about Michael that makes you? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know pure evil and the whole deal, but there's something about
What?
him that like makes you a little sympathetic.
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the way that he's like nonverbal and he kind of just like puts his head to the side. It's almost like a puppy.
As a kid, yes,
Almost
not
like,
as an adult. Screw him as an adult.
No, I'm just saying he's almost like like a dog, like who doesn't know what's going on, and he just
yeah.
sort of is like.
All right.
You kind of feel a little sorry for him.
a little bit.
You're like close to selling me, but I'm not gonna follow you all the way down that hole because he's so ruthlessly
I'm like
murders
that girl. I'm
everybody
like that
he comes in
girlfriend
contact
who
with.
thinks that she can change a man.
You would
I got
actually.
you, Michael.
Guys, he's not
I
that bad.
got
He
you.
only killed 3 people last
The
year.
I
scene,
got it. I
the
got it.
scene
It's only
wherever
3.
He's gonna change for me.
the scene where you think he's dead and he just pops up
Yeah.
from behind the bed scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Every time
There's
I see
the
it.
one Halloween movie, and I don't know which one it is, but it's an older one where Jamie Lee Curtis is in it, and there's a scene, of course, where they're going at it, and there's a moment where he could kill her, and he doesn't, and he like does that side head thing, and I'm just like, oh,
That might
maybe
be-
he's like, maybe he does care a little.
I mean, I guess he's
You would
sympathetic
have
in
been
that.
killed.
Yeah,
You would have been the
exactly.
second girl that got
I would have
killed.
been the first girl.
I
let's be
suppose
real.
he's sympathetic in that it almost seems like his evil is out of his control, like he was born that way. But I don't know, man. You probably got to be put down at that point when you're pure evil.
I'm gonna
So
start just looking at you like this.
is that what I need to do? Anytime you get
Imagine
mad at
if
me,
William
I'll just look
Shatner
like
looked
very
at you like
confused.
that with a tilted
Yeah,
head.
just-
William
no,
Shatner
that's-
just staring at you from across the room with a tilted head. It'd be scary.
That would be pretty scary. I'm going to see that in my sleep tonight. All right, so that is our episode 3 of Real Friends, our final majority rankings, although Nate did differ from the crew here. Number 3 in our 80s movie trinity was Friday the 13th. Number 2 was Halloween. And number 1 was Nightmare on Elm Street. One more note, I finally remembered what I was going to say. Is it a sign that I'm getting older that in Nightmare on Elm Street with Johnny Depp, Glenn, that when he was watching the TV while listening to a record player, I was wondering, like, what's he doing there? How can he listen to the record player and watch TV at the same
Well,
time?
he answered.
Well, and
He
then
wasn't
sure
listening
enough,
to the
5
TV.
minutes later, the mom pops in and asks that same question. So I had
But
a little
his
bit of a
answer
moment.
made sense. The bikini contest. You don't hear what they're
but
saying.
you're
That's
saying
true.
that the first thing you went to is how you sided with what the mom was thinking.
The script,
immediately.
You're on the other side.
Yeah, the script made me feel like I had one of those other side moments where I was literally asking the exact same question
You're
the
the
mom
dad
did.
now.
And I used to be that 2-screen kid. My wife banned it from the living room, but we used to have 2 video game consoles and a TV going at all times, even though you're not really actually watching the TV. And unfortunately, those days are done. But Johnny Depp made me want them again. By the way, Johnny Depp, though, as good looking as he was, very good looking.
Dumb.
I thought he was a solid acting job considering I think it was his first movie. It did say
It said
introducing.
introducing Johnny Depp.
But his character was pretty ineffective. Didn't do anything.
He was dumb.
Oh yeah, he was.
He fell asleep when he wasn't supposed to fall
Every time.
asleep.
Every
Every
time.
time.
He did not give it. He thought his girlfriend was crazy. He was like, "Yo,
He's
this
like,
girl,
"Look, I'm
this girl
tired."
needs to sleep."
I
don't
like
know
his
what the hell
dad,
she's on
who is
about.
like, "We have got to keep that girl away from our boy."
Yeah, straight up. Dad knows. All right, y'all. Hey, I hope that everybody enjoyed this month of October as much as we did here at Real Friends. Okay, so the plan from here on out, we'll have to nail down the movies, but the show will not be weekly from here. 3 movies a week is a lot to ask anybody to watch. And so in an effort to get our viewers more involved, I know, well, not for Nathan, who is our resident movie buff, the truest movie lover of us all. But so the plan from here on out, we're going to be every 2 weeks. We're going to decide the category. We're going to pick out the movies. And we're going to let y'all know as soon as we know so that everybody can get involved. Almost like that book club type of vibe. We're going to watch these movies. We're going to discuss them. And we got so many good ones. Who knows? We might do a Stranger Things special. We got Christmas coming up. Obviously,
Do you have
we
any
have
suggestions?
Star Wars and suggestions for the new year, especially suggestions we'll get into.
We should do a Star Trek versus Star Wars.
Did I mention Star Wars?
Yeah,
We're going to do Star Wars.
Did I mention that? We're gonna do the machete order specifically. We're gonna go 4, 5,
Which I've never done. So I'm
1, 2,
excited to do it
3,
that
or
way.
do we go Rogue One? Should we do that? No, we're gonna go 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Then we'll be ready for
We'll
it.
let you know.
I don't know. Do you throw Rogue One in the?
I think
In
that
the lineup,
I would
man?
think it'd be more interesting to watch Rogue after getting all 7 movies under your belt. I
think I
just-
kind of agree.
Yeah, I think it's fun that way.
You don't want to see it before New Hope. I feel
No.
like that takes away a
No.
lot of the kind of magic of New Hope.
Yeah.
But that's fine. That's conversation quite literally for another day. So we will see you back in 2 weeks with a brand new episode of Real Friends. Thank you to everyone who watched. Nathan, thank you. Rivers, thank you. Joe Rodriguez behind the glass, making all the magic happen. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoy this. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Happy spooky Halloween.